We're going to take you on a mini tour of this expo this morning, and we're also going to talk to Irv Batten. He is a Cooper River Bridge Run official. So Irv, you know, how many people are we expecting to come in here today and pick up their packets? You can see all of these cars are actually being rerouted to 14th Avenue at this time toward Breach Inlet. I'm told that's the only way on and off the island. Downtown Charleston, right on Calhoun Street, which is going to be a hot spot for some road closures on Saturday. Now, something I did actually want to point out, though, is all of the light posts on Calhoun Street. They are decked out. That shot for you guys of the palm tree that's just really swaying in the wind. You can see it in my hair. You can even see the waves crashing on shore as well. And even more specifically, right here where I am off Lockwood Drive. Now, Cody, if you want to go ahead and zoom in on that big pothole right there, that one looks to be about 2 inches deep. We now know the identity of the man. This is 61-year-old Curtis Smith. Step out of the shot, Cody, if you want to pan up. That's actually Sammy right there. Sammy, you want to say hi to everybody?
Good morning, everybody.
So, Sammy, kind of tell us, why do you think that today might be the day that the tree might come down? Yeah. Pretty franktastic. Do you hear all the puns, you guys? Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, I'll go ahead and send it back to you guys in the studio. So, lots of people flocked to the Isle of Palms this weekend. Thousands of people, I'm told. I'm here joined now by Sergeant Matt Storen with the Isle of Palms Police Department. So, Sergeant Storen, we were talking earlier. You said there was a ton of people this weekend. What are we expecting today? So, according to SLED, Alex Murdaugh actually asked Curtis Edward Smith to kill him, this so that his son could cash in on a $10 million life insurance policy. Just something interesting to note, nearly every single one of the pumps was filled with cars. So I did try 2 separate pumps to get gas. Yeah, Mayor Will Haney just texted me within the last half hour. He said he actually heard the response to this massive fire from his home last night. Tiger sharks nursing off our South Carolina coast waterways, but now thanks to the satellite tag, it has actually confirmed that there are tiger sharks nursing in our offshore waters. So the wind is really blowing us right now. I mean, it was even hard to get out of our units this morning. Literally could not open the door because of the wind, and you can see it in my hair. My hat keeps flying off. And another alarming pandemic record, according to MUSC, the COVID impact in the Tri-County, it's severe. And speaking of 9/11 traditions, how about this local firefighter walking 100 miles to raise money for the Low Country's 9/11 Heroes Run? This is video, actually this is live video right now. Of Dave Moore. He's out there right now. I believe he's in the West Ashley area. And here's a story you may have missed. 2 men will spend the rest of their lives in prison for the death of a Somerville man. A Dorchester County jury found 23-year-old Elijah Green and 27-year-old Devontae Major. He faced 3 charges, 2 involving insurance fraud and 1 for falsifying a police report by reporting his shooting. And the latest from inside the bond court hearing of Alex Murdaugh will break down what we know so far. The city of North Charleston has been sued over their employee vaccine requirement. I think it's probably just a bunch of boys chilling in the house.
The
being
cameras
boys.
don't work and things smell weird.
What's that?
You already know. The Tiger King, he's my screensaver on my phone. I don't know if you guys can see it. Yeah, I love that show. Yes, that's the picture that's on my phone right now.
Amy.
Let's do a little bit of dance to get this Friday going,
There we
Leah.
go, Amy.
Let's go. All right, well, Kristen Stewart, she's making her official debut.
It doesn't take much to lose it all.
We shut everything down, closed all the connections, so nothing was working.
Georgetown County found out the hard way.
And we received a ransom.
Jackie says county systems were infected with a virus called Georgetown County
Connections, so
it doesn't take much to lose it all.
we shut everything down, closed all the connections, so nothing was working.
Georgetown County found out the hard way.
And we received a ransom.
Jackie Broach says county systems were infected with a virus called a Trojan horse on January 20th. By the 23rd, the virus had gathered information, including the social security numbers of some county employees. The hackers demanded a ransom the county didn't pay. About 50 staffers' sensitive information was compromised and sold on the dark web. The county was forced to shut everything down.
Basically, we were working on pads and pencils and phones. Unfortunately, this has gotten to be extremely common, especially for small local governments and small agencies.
So SLED took the lead on the investigation.
One major ransomware attack will and can have severe cascading effects across all parts of the local government.
We've seen that on a much larger scale with the Colonial Pipeline hack.
It only takes one person with a computer and internet access to become a cyber criminal.
Blackbaud, a computer software company here in Charleston, was impacted in a separate cyber attack in September. It led Roper St. Francis to warn over 90,000 patients their personal information may have been compromised because of that attack. Experts say finding the attacker isn't the hard part in these cases.
So if we're able to trace the ransomware, trace the malware back to the cyber criminal, a lot of times we find those cyber criminals are in jurisdictions we just don't have access to.
Jamie Mellis is a cybersecurity expert. He says malware attacks can appear as simple as a pop-up on any of your devices and can be as elaborate as a breach of national security secrets.
Now what they're doing is they're stealing the data. And they're saying, listen, either you're going to pay us or we're going to release the data. It's hard for a person at home to clean up some of this stuff.
In 2020, 304 million ransomware attacks were reported worldwide, a 62% increase from 2019.
Probably 95% of the computers that come in today are coming in because of some kind of malware infection.
And when you get hacked,
the best thing to do is just start from scratch.
There are some preventative measures you can take. Have antivirus software installed. Make sure you have a good firewall, which is a security system that monitors network traffic, and back up your files regularly. If you do receive a ransom threat,
the FBI encourages corporate entities and anybody not to pay the ransom for the ransomware, because that just entices more ransomware attacks as they see they're getting money for these cyber attacks.
Is this the first time Georgetown County has been hacked?
Oh, yes. And hopefully the last.
Working for you, Amy Russo, ABC News 4. It's a door
Maybe he just needs more time to recover.
you don't want to walk through.
There are 10. Every bed is full.
Is that like pretty consistent that they're all full?
Yes, these days for sure. Definitely since we've been in this surge with the pandemic, it's been every day.
Every single person battling COVID, all unvaccinated, and all on a ventilator.
It does take a lot of nursing care. We try to prone these patients, put them on their belly at least twice a day, turning them when they're intubated, and we have a lot of the patients are paralyzed just to keep them from fighting the vent.
The average stay on the ventilator, nurses say, is close to a month.
Unfortunately, once someone's on a ventilator, it's then it's a battle to see how we can get them weaned off of that.
This is our new gentleman we just intubated, but look at his pH and the CO2, how bad it is.
The survival rate once intubated, I'm told, less than 10%.
Every morning I come in, I have to make sure that it is working properly because you never know when a patient is going to crash. Literally an hour ago, before you guys walked through, we intubated a guy, and the first thing he said was, "Let me call my daughter," because honestly, it may be the last time he ever gets to, she ever gets to hear his voice. It's almost like we're helpless because, we're taught one thing, and it's to save people, and we're doing all that we can, and sometimes that's not enough.
Leaving some families to make a heartbreaking decision.
That it can be one of the toughest decisions to ever make, is to, take your family member off of life support. But unfortunately, with the COVID patients, they are needing the life support, otherwise they would die.
Paralyzed with a tube down their throat.
I've never seen anything like this.
Arms pierced with needles, drips keeping patients alive.
It's torture being paralyzed, sedated. They can't move, they can't see their family members can't see them.
It's a reality some nurses say could be prevented.
No one should have to go through that when they could easily get a shot and be with their families for the rest of their lives and, not die in a hospital room alone.
Working for you, Amy Russo, ABC News 4. Right off the bat,
love is always stronger than hate.
Chris Singleton found his voice.
So if we just love the way my mom would, then...
He spoke from his heart just one day after his mother's death and hasn't stopped since. Last week, he took part in the prayer walk in downtown Charleston and stood feet from where his mother and 8 others were killed and delivered.
I used to get really nervous around the church. I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't, I hadn't worshiped there since my mom was killed. So a lot of times I get anxious or nervous, walking by. But yesterday I knew that I was there to use my voice and try to bring people together.
It's been his mission for nearly 5 years, all part of his Love Your Neighbor campaign.
I speak about unity, about love, and I speak about my mom being killed. And I don't shy away from the fact that she was murdered because she was black.
Singleton speaks across the country, but he says was called to reach younger crowds.
And so I'll do that at high schools, do that in colleges, do it for companies, middle schools here and there, but elementary school students, I didn't want to take their innocence. And so I kept thinking, well, how the heck am I going to reach them?
A novel idea, a children's book. It's called Different. Its message born out of tragedy, but without focusing on the act.
And for me to come in and share about murder, I feel like that's not my place. But I can still teach them the lesson without speaking about that part.
There's power between the pages, a call to love one another, regardless of skin color or religion.
I said, this is the way it's going to go. My mom is going to be the teacher. She's got to be in there. I'm honoring her. Wrote the story. Kid from Nigeria comes over, gets picked on in Charleston. But at the end, they celebrate him, even though he's different.
These are different times, and the time couldn't be any better for Chris's first book.
A lot of people are finally quiet, and they're listening to what has to be said. And I think when we're quiet and we listen, we learn a lot.